In the realm of love, my heart does soar, for Jack is the one who I adore. In every way he's better than me, his kindness and grace for all to see. Whether it is trivia, name that player, or Big D's big odds, you always prove that you are a baseball god. On the field, you're a dog, just like Alex Verdugo. No matter where life takes you, I'll follow where you go. I truly love you more than you love the Yankees. And just so you know, I want to give you some spankies. You are my ace, just like Garrett Cole. When I met you, you made my heart whole. Between us, there will never be a grudge, but you will always make me rise, like Aaron Judge. You are an up-and-coming star, just like Anthony Volpe. But when you go up and make it big, I hope you still hold me. And you are so lucky you don't root for the stupid Mets. Now I confess my love for you because I love these stupid bets.
Wow. You really want some spankies, huh? Hey, I gotta say, man, that was beautiful. I hope Jack listens to that with a tear in his eye, a question mark in his heart.
I mean, listen, I don't know where Jack is tonight. You know, he decided not to show up on a podcast after he wins, but this is why you don't want to lose. This is why you don't want to lose.
Let me just ask you, do you think the feelings are reciprocated?
No.
Well, that right there is why you do not want to lose the weekly Big D's Big Odds.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Welcome to the Bronx Queens Bros podcast, better known as the BQB podcast. I'm Big D. Let's go, Big D. How are we doing, Dave?
I'm doing good. We're Jackless this episode, but don't worry, I brought documents to step in as the Yankee insider, and I'm just feeling all warm inside because that poem to Jack was just, it was beautiful. It was beautiful, and I think we got a lot to talk about this episode, so we'll see how I do. Yankees fans, don't come at me. I'm one of you at the end of the day. So let's get into it, V.
Listen here, we are Jackless today. It is a shame because he misses me wearing a Yankee hat. He takes a 1-0 lead on the season-long bet. He misses my deeply thought-out love poem about how I feel about Jack. And I even complimented the Yankees in there. So, he misses all this. I don't know why he's busy. He didn't give me an answer. He told me he's busy. I told him, we got a podcast. You want to know why? The Mets are the reason why, baby. The Mets are heating up. The New York Mets started 0-5. We're going to break down a little bit of each series. I know we haven't talked to you guys in a little while. 0-5 to start. Really bad start. Really crappy. But as of last night, I know we're recording this before Tuesday night's game. As of Monday night, the Mets are back to 500, baby. Mets are 8-8. 8-3 out of the last 11 games. We're doing great. We're having a great time playing. Mets are playing with a lot of energy. And they went out on the road. And they beat the Reds. They beat the freaking Braves. And they just came home and beat the red hot Kansas City Royals and just took the first game of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Mets are hot, baby. Harrison Bader's batting over 300. You got Pete Alonso hitting nukes. Nationally Player of the Week. I know there's someone I'm not mentioning, and I know Dave's going to bring him up in a little bit. I'm going to skip him for now. Starting pitching is doing pretty good. Sevy, Manaea, Quintana, Hauser, Bodo, the Bootmaster, the Boot God. The guy is doing great. The only thing I'm going to say, starting pitching hasn't been giving a lot of innings, but the bullpen has been lights out. Lights out. Undertaker dong inserted because, my God, they've been spotless borderline. Borderline Diaz. Even though Velo is a little down, I think he'll be all right, though. I don't think there's any injury scare or anything. Dot in the corners. Brooks Raley has a lot of run this year. Ottavino, he allowed the home run against the Detroit Tigers in the second game of the series. Second game of the series. This was a while ago now, so I'm trying to remember. And ever since then, he's been lights out. Reed Garrett? I don't know how Reed Garrett was. The guy is gone. Jorge Lopez has been good. He picked up the save in the freaking Braves series. Diekman? A little up and down, but freaking nasty. What's going on? The Mets are good? Are the Mets good? Well, listen here, ladies and gentlemen. I told you from the beginning, the Mets are going to be a pretty solid team this year. I didn't say they were going to win 100 games. I never said that. I said the Mets have every chance to be in that 84 to 88 win window. And the way they've been playing with a lot of energy, and this is without JD Martinez, this is without Kodai Senga, baby. They're looking great. The offense is producing. Brett Beatty, 10 over 300. Nemo started to heat up. Had the game of his life in Atlanta. DJ Stewart has come alive. Is DJ Stewart Kyle Schwarber? Kinda. It's just insane. It's insane. I'm going to break down these series in a little bit, little by little. But Dave, do you have any insight on what's going on here?
Yeah, dude, I'm excited for you. It's a completely different Big V we're seeing this episode. Actually, some excitement behind your words, so that's great. I'm rooting for the Mets always because I like to see you happy, believe it or not. A lot of my takeaways were your takeaways, man. You know, I think last episode we highlighted the three players, McNeil, Nimmo, Lindor, slow starts. And it seems like the first two, McNeil and Nimmo especially, are stepping up, heating up. I mean, you need the guys to produce. Those are the top guys of the team. Those are the guys you need to step up. The first, series or so, they just were not. Mets got off to a rocky start. We are still seeing Lindor struggle. And anytime you talk about that, it's just Mets fans, I think yourself included, he's not a first half player. It's Lindor. He gets heated up in the second half. Why is that justification when anyone else would be castigized for playing this poorly? I don't think I said that word correctly.
I'm going to bring up another current player who is very good, very young, out in Seattle, Julio Rodriguez. I don't know if you've paid attention, Dave, if you follow all around baseball, as I have no life, so that's what I do. Julio Rodriguez now, 3 years, this is his third year now, where he is off to a very bad start. Now, I'm just going to point out another, I would say, a star player that has shown that they come out the gates very slow. Just to say that it's not only Lindor. I'm sure there's others. I know Mark Teixeira, back when he was on the Yankees, notoriously a slow starter. Now, here's where I know I'm going to get the comments, but Lindor gets $341 million contract. Yes. I'm not going to say that Lindor is off the hook because he has a bad 1 month of the season. You're getting paid a lot of money, my guy. He needs to have a good whole year round. He's got to be consistent. But I will say this. The first 8 games, he was very bad. If you watch him swing from the left side, I will say, if you still watch him swing from the left side, it's pretty rough. It's not good. His top hand seems to be following through. He loses it. I'm sorry. His bottom hand, when he swings through, kind of falls off, if you've noticed his swing. I know maybe some of you diehard Mets fans might have noticed as well. It just seems like he's got no connection between the top half of his body and the lower half of his body. His lower half flies out on his swings. I don't know if we can get a video overlaying this, but his lower half definitely, his fanny flies out. His lower half is just trying to pull it every single time, and then even when he tries to go oppo, he just gets under it, and that's why he's been getting a lot of pop-ups. If you've seen, I know in the Royal series, he had a pop-up with the bases loaded, and I know there's been many other circumstances where he's had a lot of pop-ups, and it's because of that type of swing. His bottom half flies out, his lower half's trying to pull it. The only result is a slow roller to first or a pop-up. You're not going to hit the ball hard, not regularly. But I will say, over the past, I believe, 35 at-bats or so, he's batting around 245 with a 338 on-base percentage. Not much power, but you're starting to see the hits fall in. Now, the 245 average still not good, but if that's like a bad stretch, I think we take that 100%. And even last year, Lindor only batted like 258. So he's never been like a high average guy, but he's been a guy that hits the gaps, hits doubles, hits triples, hits home runs. So he's still not having the power production, but with Lindor's speed and him on the bases, him to get on base is just very productive. And I always say this: his defense is always top of the notch in the game of baseball. One of the best shortstops in the game defensively, and but Lindor has shown, I'd say now his entire Mets career, that the month of April is not his strongest month. I'm not worried about Lindor. I think he'll be fine completely. I've been seeing though, if you watch him swing from the right side, he looks money. The guy has, I don't know how to, in a lack of terms, he looks fully connected throughout his body when he's swinging from the right side. Like, it's a fluid swinging motion. So I've been seeing a lot of comments saying, oh, Lindor should just only bat righty. Why is Lindor going to still bat lefty? He's such a better hit off righty. I mean, listen, he made it a nice career out of being a switch hitter. I don't know why you're going to all of a sudden switch it. So, in my opinion, it's not a big enough sample size to just say, oh, you know what, screw it, I'm only batting right. If he has an atrocity of a full season, sure, then let's have a serious conversation about it. Or even, I would say, an atrocity of a first half. I'm saying April, May, June, July. If he has a bad 4 months from the left side where he's batting under 100, yeah, let's have the conversations flowing that you should only be batting right-handed. But until that situation comes upon us, he's a switch hitter, and he's a very good switch hitter. I know he's not a guy that wants a rest day, but I truly think actually what Mendoza and the Mets should do is, let's say they take, they got a nice little win streak, and maybe like one of the guys on the bench is having a good little streak, like Wendell or Short. I would give Lindor a little rest day. Let him just sit on the bench, watch the game. Maybe it comes up in a big opportunity late in the game. Let him just take a breather. Let the boys show they can still win. The Mets have been winning with very little help from Lindor. And I think he needs a mental break, because I think now he's all in his head on his swing, and especially on the left side, and that's where he bats majority of the time because there's so many right-handers in the league. So I'm not worried about Lindor. That was a little insight on what I've been seeing. I'm a former baseball player, but I was god-awful. Shout out Jack Leiter for getting called up to the Texas Rangers. I got to face him in high school. He struck me out. So the guy's a stud, and I suck, but that's not the point. So he will be fine. Yeah.
No.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, when we started this podcast last year, it was really my first time hearing you and paying such close attention to the Mets. I feel like we had the same exact conversation. People were saying, am I wrong? Like, weren't people saying Lindor back last year should have abandoned being a switch hitter? And then he turned it around to,
if you look at his numbers from last April, he had a bad month of April. And then come May, huge month of May. And remember, come to All-Star and huge month of June, come the All-Star break, because he had such a bad April and first week of May, his numbers didn't look great, but we were saying, why is he not an All-Star? Because he had such a bad first 6 weeks of the season. And I can promise you this. You can quote me right now, and I'll take whatever punishment you're going to give me, Dave. Francisco Lindor.
Write me a love letter.
Francisco Lindor will still be a top 5 shortstop by the end of the season. 100%. 100%. I don't even think Jack will argue it with me. Because I think at the end of the year, he'll have his numbers. He'll have 25 plus home runs. He'll have 30 plus stolen bases. He'll bat around 250. Gold glove defense. One of the best shortstops in the game. That's what's going to happen with Francisco Lindor. Just trust the process. It's not okay that he gets off to a slow start. Maybe he's got to get to spring training like 3 weeks earlier next year. And maybe that'll help him get going. That's my only intake here. I'm not worried. Maybe in 5 more podcasts, if this is still consistently happening, maybe you'll start seeing some worry to me.
Well, that's the thing that kind of just raises a question for me. Like, I 100% agree with you. I think at the end of the day, like, Lindor is an excellent baseball player. and we're going to look back and say, see, he was fine. The season isn't defined in April. However, you're right. It's like, is there something with his offseason resume? Like, why is this not being addressed so that we come out of the gate a little bit hotter? Like, I don't quite get it, but oh well. If that's your biggest concern, clearly, you guys are playing much better as of late. He'll pick up and produce some more runs and some more wins for you guys, hopefully.
One other thing I want to add to this is there's expected batting average on balls in play that's been thrown around these past 2 years, I'd say. Lindor has been deemed the second unluckiest hitter in Major League Baseball up to this point. So there's been a lot of times where he makes hard contact and he doesn't get his hits. Now, I don't like to read too much into it. Just going to put that out there that I think his luck will start swaying the other way where I think he'll start getting a few more hits. But fun fact, the most unlucky hitter in Major League Baseball, Austin Wells.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, and his average is suffering because of it.
I saw the list this morning. No, listen, I'm not reading too much into it. I'm not going to be like, oh, he should be batting 285 or whatever the hell he should be batting, what the expected batting average is. But it just does to show you there is 9 gloves out there. Sometimes for a nice little stretch, you're going to find a lot more gloves than you want. I think his luck will start swaying back to the norm very soon.
Yeah, well, I'm curious to hear if you recap some of the series that the Mets went through throughout the month of April so far. How the games shape out?
Yeah, so I'm gonna go. I'm not sure where we left off in terms of from last episode, but the Mets lost 2-3 versus the Detroit Tigers to start the month. They lost the first game, rained out, which I believe that's where we had left off, and then we had a doubleheader on the 4th. Mets lost the first game, kind of a heartbreaker because the Mets were up 3-0, if I recall correctly. Mets were up 3-0, and then Ottavino blew that game, and then Michael Tonkin kind of blew it in the 10th. And then the second game, Mets were losing 1-0, no hit through 7. They were dead. They were 0-5. Ninth inning, Pete Alonso comes in clutch, hits a game-tying home run. The Mets go on later on to win on a Tyrone Taylor walk-off hit. Big hit, big win for the Mets. Gets the first win for Carlos Mendoza's Major League career. So it's a nice little touch. Mets go out to Cincinnati, and they take 2 or 3 from Cincy. They won 3-2 in the first game, lost 9-6 in the second game, and then won 3-1. So funny enough that the 2 games they win were the games that they scored the least amount of runs. But this is when I felt like the tide started turning for the Mets. The Mets started playing a little more life to them, is the way I put it. Sevy had a good start against the Reds, went 5, allowed 1 run. Monaya had a good start against the Reds, went 5, allowed 1. And then, in the loss against the Reds, Johan Ramirez got lit up in the 8th when the Mets had the lead. So Johan Ramirez ended up getting DFA'd, so did Michael Tonkin. Fun fact for everyone out there, Reed Garrett is coming up very soon for you guys. And the Mets won the rubber match against the Reds, which was nice to see. The Mets win their first series of the season. And so they're starting to get a little bit of a roll here now, if you can see the trend. Mets go out to Atlanta. Game 1. So far, best game of the year. Win 8-7 against the Braves, who, guys, if you don't know this, I fucking hate the Braves. I can't stand them. They're so good. It's so annoying. So annoying. Heartbreaker for Atlanta fans, though. Strider's out for the whole season. Really sucks for the game of baseball to see one of the great young arms of the game miss an entire season. Does suck for Atlanta fans, for baseball, and not so much for the Mets. So the Mets do win 8-7. Brandon Nimmo had the game of his life that day. 2 home runs. Hit another single in the 8th with an RBI on there. DJ Stewart hit a home run. And the Mets ended up holding on the lead with Jorge Lopez teetering on a tightrope in the 9th there. Tyrone Taylor helped him out with a great play at the top of the wall to Rob Ozuna of a hit. Mets do lose game 2. They were down 6-0, and they made a game of it. They lost 5-6. Pete Alonso in the 8th hit a 3-run home run, and in the 9th, the Mets started to rally, and then Raisel Iglesias really stepped down there and got Pete Alonso to strike out in the 9th, which a little heartbreaker. But then the Mets put a pounding on Atlanta Braves. beating them 16-4 for the first time, and I think it was like 35 years that the Mets have beaten the Atlanta Braves by more than 12 runs or more. Tyrone Taylor had a grand slam in this game. I know off Louis Guillorme, former Met, hashtag L. So we got that going on. Then the Mets came out to Kansas City. Sorry. Kansas City came out to the Mets. And the Mets beat the Royals. I mean, so the Royals came in red hot, had won 7 in a row, had just swept the Houston Astros, if I'm not mistaken, Dave. And so I got it loading up here on my couple notes here. Mets beat Kansas City 6-1 in the first game of the series. Pete Alonso had a home run in that game. Beatty had a big 2-run double in that game, which was good to see. And then game 2, Sean Manaea just did not have his stuff that day, but I will say the Mets defense did let him down a little bit. Marte dropped the ball in the outfield, and Brandon Nimmo, Jose Canseco the ball in the outfield. So, meaning he allowed a home run ball that wasn't a home run that turned to home. In case the younger viewers didn't know what I was referencing. But the Mets still scored. They scored 7 runs, but they allowed 11. So, not too good there. But then, on the White Gooden's number retirement day, we had a pitching duel. Cole Reagans, young stud from Kansas City, who Kansas City got for a half a season of Aroldis Chapman. Fun trade fact for you guys right there. What a steal. Rangers won the World Series, so as far as I know, it's still a win-win trade, and I think they'll do it 10 times out of 10, but a great return for Kansas City in terms of value. Cole Reagans looks disgusting. I think he's going to end up being in top 10 Cy Young this year. But Jose Budo, 6 shutout innings, 9 strikeouts. In his first 5 strikeouts in the first 2 innings, all on the changeup. His changeup was disgusting. It looked like a splitter almost. The thing would just be in the lower part of the zone, just die out. And then it could fling right over it. I mean, Budo gave the Mets a great start. Fun fact here as well. Mets have only had 3 games where the starter went 6 innings. Jose Budo did 2 of them. And he's only had 2 starts because they sent him down after the first one. It's literally insane. So the Mets win. Mets had came back in that game on a Harrison Bader infield roller with the base loaded, and Nimmo walked. And then Diaz allowed a home run in the 9th, but that was about it. So the Mets win that series. And on Jackie Robinson Day, the Mets beat the Pittsburgh Pirates, which was nice to see. I know Rachel Robinson was at Citi Field at 101 years old, so that's freaking amazing. I saw some stuff about that. I think that's really, really cool that she's still here with us and she's going to New York games. I'm sure that is probably very, very cool to see everyone wear number 42 in honor of Jackie Robinson. One of the very cool traditions that MLB has implemented. I will definitely tip my cap to that. And the Mets win 6-3, and that was great to see. And that's about it. And the Mets are now 8-8 on the season.
Dude, not only 8-8, but like a tough 8-8, right? Like you're talking about taking a series against the Braves, which have been the Mets' kryptonite, as the Atlanta fans let you know. You're talking about the Red Hot Royals, as you talked about, cooling them off, and then getting off to a good start against the Pirates. The Reds.
Don't sleep on the Reds. I mean, the Reds were a good team. They are a good team.
Yeah.
The Mets have played. I saw a stat this morning. Mets have played technically via win percentage the toughest schedule so far. So that's just a little fun fact. Every team the Mets have faced have come out playing very well. And I know the Mets had a tough start, but Mets are catching fire. And it's good to see. And they got to stay on fire because they have the Dodgers, Giants, and Cardinals after Pittsburgh. So, but JD Martinez is on the horizon. I'm hearing after the West Coast trip, JD Martinez is supposed to probably be in for April 26th against the Cardinals, which, fingers crossed, everything goes well. He'll be back.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there any player, if I were to give you one specific player to highlight that maybe you haven't talked about? Let's go offensive because you talked a lot about the pitching, and the pitching has been solid for the Mets, which is really good to see. A lot of new guys kind of making a name for themselves. if you had to highlight one offensive player who really has picked it up from last episode, who would you highlight?
It's Brett Beatty. I
Brett
mean,
Beatty.
no hesitation here. I mean, you could name Pete because he was the National Player of the Week, but we know Pete goes on these home run barrages like he just did this past week, so it doesn't surprise me. Brett Beatty surprises me. I'm actually going to pull up his stats. Should have came a little more prepared. Wasn't prepared for that question, Dave. So this is all your fault.
I got Beatty stats if you want them.
No, I got it.
Batting 316.
I mean,
that's certainly good to see.
He's batting 316. And listen, I'm sure you guys remember asking me this in the offseason. I wasn't confident in Brett Beatty. I kind of slept on him. I literally had conversations with somebody off camera saying, hey, if Beatty has not a good year, Mets are probably going to go after Bregman maybe in the offseason. Third base is such a big hole. But if Beatty has a great year, then it's like, oh, great, we got a young guy, controllable for many years, that we can trust at the hot corner. Now, not only am I going to highlight Beatty on offense, I'm going to highlight Beatty on defense. The guy has looked fantastic at third base. Made an amazing snag against the Reds in the hole to rob a run-scoring play, which I believe the game was tied at the time. He's made some unreal plays to his left, coming in on balls. He's got a cannon of an arm. Forgot he had a cannon of an arm. And his offense. I mentioned he had the big hit against the Royals, but he's been getting his hits. And he just looks so confident playing. You know, he's got a certain level of energy to him, a certain level of swag. And I wonder if that's kind of the Mendoza effect here. I'm going to point that out a little bit too. So I wonder if under Buck kind of ran a tight ship. And I wonder if, you know, he kind of ran the team with the veterans and everything. And I wonder if Mendoza's kind of letting the kids, hey, express yourself. You're here to play. We're going to play you. Go out there and prove to the world that you're a ball player. And I'm wondering if that's the effect. You know, I was not a Mendoza believer. And I'm not saying I am yet. He's got a long way till I am. But the way I see Beatty playing, he's playing with energy. He's playing with passion. And he just looks like a completely different ball player than last year. Driving the ball the other way, pulling the ball, playing good defense. Just looks confident. Seems to have a good relationship with Lindor. I think Lindor kind of helped his defense. He mentioned big time. And I'm very excited to see what Brett Beatty's going to do this year for the rest of the year.
We'll certainly keep an eye on it. He's also got 9 ribbies, which is third highest on the team. He's got that home run. Another player I'm looking at, I'm going to be keeping an eye on him all season, is Alvarez. I mean, he's doing all right. He's batting 255, home run, 7 RBIs right now, 314 on base percentage. Definitely expecting a good year from him. You know, I saw a clip the other day. I don't know when it was. It was recent. Might have been during spring training, if not in the early stages of the season. But it was just him talking about learning English. And the reason I'm bringing it up is he just talks about how he always is asking his teammates, he's always asking his coaches how to say words, how to develop his language. That just shows who he is as a person. And I always bring up Alvarez as like excited for his career, because if he has that attitude about life, about baseball, about language, the kid's going to be a stud. I mean, if he's just there to observe and take in. I was watching interviews where Derek Jeter, he did the same thing. He would just cling on to these veterans, just be a sponge. And I forget who, I think it was a Joe Buck interview, was asking him if he had any advice for young players, and it was exactly that. And then like an hour later, I saw the Alvarez clip. So very excited to see how he does. I'm always going to be keeping an eye on him.
Yeah, I was, I believe last episode I had, or the 2 episodes prior, I preached my praise on Francisco Alvarez. So I wanted to give you a new name today. That's kind of why I went with Brett Beatty.
Okay, all right, I respect it. Any last comments on the Mets before we transition into some Yankee talk?
Let's transition, because I'm on a high. So the more I talk, I may start talking down.
The more you bring up, you might start noticing some things, right?
Exactly.
So our last episode, we were talking about the Yankees going out to face the Diamondbacks. They ended up taking the game that was played that night we recorded the episode. They won 5-2. They then got shut out the next game 7-0, which was not a great performance. I think Nestor started that game, got off to a rocky start. And then they did win the rubber match. Yeah, that was the Zach Allen versus Nestor game. And then they won the rubber match to take the series. And the Yankees to date, as you'll find as I'm still going throughout the series, they have yet to lose a series. They got a big game against the Blue Jays tonight if they want to keep that trend alive. They then came home for the home opener against the Blue Jays. They had their home opener on Friday, had the earthquake, and then lost the game, got shut out once again. So we are seeing flashes where the offense does go a bit stale. As a whole, not too concerned, but we will keep an eye on that for sure. And then we had our own Jack in appearance for that Saturday game, where the Yankees got off to a very hot start. Aaron Judge hit a home run, followed by Giancarlo Stanton hitting a home run. They got off to, I think, like a 6-0 lead. Blue Jays started coming back, though. They did not make it easy. You had Vlad Guerrero shushing the fans after, I think, hitting a home run to make it like 6-1. But the Blue Jays came back, and the game was close. It finished off 9-8. And then I was in appearance for that Sunday game following, where we got to see a John Collar grand slam. And the Yankees took that one 8-3. So the Yankees won that series, the home opener against the Blue Jays.
Can I jump in real quick here?
Of course, please do.
Giancarlo Stanton's grand slam. Fun fact: John Sterling's last ever home run call. Happy retirement to John Sterling. Just wanted to point that random fact out to you.
Oh yeah, we were certainly gonna get it on John Sterling discussion because sad news. Hope everything's okay health wise. I think it was some health concerns that made him ultimately retire. But God, what a career that was. So we'll touch on that in a second. I also would have loved to hear Jack's thoughts on that because we grew up listening to "It's an A bomb" from A-Rod and "Burn Baby Burn" and all those famous sayings he had, and that's baseball, Susan. So he will certainly be missed. There's not going to be another John Sterling. There just won't be. But after the Blue Jays, the Marlins came into town, and the Yankees ended up taking that series. They had the solar eclipse game that Monday night, which was that was one of the best starts we've seen from Nestor in a very long time. I think he went 8 innings, only gave up 2 hits, no earned runs. I know the Marlins are kind of a struggling team coming into that series, but to see him come out and have a strong appearance, one, a lot of Yankees fans after his last outing starting to lose a little bit of hope on Nestor. So hopefully that calmed them down on that thought a little bit. We'll see how his season goes. I'm not ready to give up on him yet. Not fully confident in him either, V, which we'll talk about the Yankees starting rotation in a minute. But following that game, the Yankees took the next one in a close game, 3-2. And then they lost the last game of the series. So again, they got the series win against the Marlins before they had to leave town and go to Cleveland, which the first game got rained out, shifted to a day-night doubleheader on Saturday, which the Yankees took both the games. The first one being a 3-2 victory. Clark Schmidt had a pretty good outing, 5 innings pitched, 1 earned run. His main issue is, can he get further into games? You'll take that, and he looks good to start, but it's about that third time he gets through the lineup where the Yankees aren't comfortable sending him back out there. You then had Cody Petit making his first start in the night game. Looked like a stud. You and I were watching it together, and the Yankees won 8-2. He threw 6 innings, 1 earned run, no walks, and 4 strikeouts. So definitely a promising debut for him. Juan Soto also got a homer in that game, which is always going to be good to see. And then the Guardians did win a close game, extra inning game on the last game of that series. Yankees fell 7-8. Judge hit a home run that game. Yankees just, going to get the job done. You had Nestor Cortez pitch again. Did not look great. 4 innings pitched, 4 earned runs. And then just a heavy reliance on the bullpen after that game. So you definitely tired out the bullpen going over to Toronto the day after, which I don't know if you've seen any of the games, but Toronto's new stadium, looking pretty nice. They did a good job with that. Have you seen it?
I gotta say, I do thoroughly enjoy it. I think it came the new renovations came in last year.
Yeah.
They look great. It looks like a so much nicer ballpark, kind of really more complete than that huge space that they used to have between the fence and the fans, which is always kind of
Yeah.
odd to me.
It was interesting, but I gotta say it looks beautiful. The Yankees did fall last night, 3-1 against the Blue Jays. Again, another circumstance where Yankees offense just fell flat. I don't think they had an extra base hit. Luis Gil did not pitch well. I mean, he got 5 innings pitched, 3 earned runs, 7 walks, and 6 Ks. So definitely some control issues going on there for the youngster.
Yeah.
But like I said, I saw his first ever start. I saw him start against the Blue Jays again when I was there on Sunday. We'll keep an eye on the kid. But just going over those games, any brief takeaways before I dive into some stats?
I'm gonna bring it. I have a question for you as well. Actually, I'm gonna touch up on Cortez and Schmidt, if you don't mind. Besides Juan Soto, absolutely looking like a stud still.
Okay.
So Nestor, yes, he pitched great against the Marlins, and the Marlins are off to an ungodly bad start, and their front office is an absolute joke. And I want to just publicly say that because they're making decisions that make zero sense. They sent down their best pitching prospect because they're trying to preserve innings or something. But what's the point of sending him down? Is he going to pitch in the minor leagues? Like, if that's the case, why isn't he just pitching with the big league club? You have no reason to watch the Miami Marlins. Might as well showcase your young studs. My guess is they're doing the service time manipulation stuff, where if he is not in the big leagues his first year, X number of days, they get an extra year of control. That's my guess. On top of that, they publicly stated they're not going to bring back Skip Schumacher next year now. So, if I was Skip Schumacher, I have no idea why I would even say this year. One, you have no reason. The Marlins are horrible. I guess the only thing is it may look a little iffy on his end. Maybe just stick out the season. But in my opinion, what's the point? You're going to have one of the worst records in the league at this rate. The best case scenario is you get Luis Arias to heat up. You get Jesus Luzardo to heat up. Tim Anderson to heat up. And they're all going to be gone at the deadline. Gone. Maybe Josh Bell. Maybe Jake Burt. Whoever is hitting well or pitching well is gone at the deadline. Without a doubt. And Nestor Cortez diced them up. Now, I'm not going to die. They're major league hitters. He pitched great. And this is where I think Nestor Cortez is the way he can have a good year. Against the lesser teams, Nestor Cortez has to have starts like this. I'm not saying 8 shutout innings every time. I'm saying 6 innings, 1 run allowed, 7 innings, 2 runs allowed, 6 no, whatever. Against the lesser lineups, he needs to be that dog. He needs to be that guy that gives the bullpen a break for the day, gives them length. And then against the tougher teams, he needs to battle. He needs to give a quality start. Go 5 innings, allow 2 runs. Go 6 innings, allow 3 runs. Keep them in the game. That's how Nestor Cortez should be. Nestor Cortez is not that first half 2022 where he was the all-star. I'm sorry, Yankee fans. And I don't think a lot of Yankee fans would even argue with me. And I'm sorry any Nestor Cortez loving fans are going to. It's just not who he is. He had a great first half. And everything was working well. And that's maybe best case scenario for the guy. But I think he hit his peak there. But I don't think he can be I think he'd still be a very good pitcher. And in this sense, dice up the lower teams and give quality starts against the good lineups, he could be a very, very good starter for the Yankees. So next time he's out there facing a good lineup, I'm really going to be watching him to see. I would love to see 8 shutout innings from him. I'm saying, though, can he battle? Can he keep the Yankees in the game? And can he give enough innings to say, wow, okay, he battled tonight. He's not a top-line starter, but he showed that he can still pitch against a good lineup. That's the one thing I need Nestor Cortez to show. Clark Schmidt. The second the Yankees get some more starting pitching, Clark Schmidt's going to be the most disgusting relief pitcher in Major League Baseball. The guy is just lights out the first 3 innings. Lights out. And yeah, he just doesn't. The Yankees don't have the trust. I don't have the trust. And I, at this point, don't think Clark Schmidt has the trust to pitch past the 5th inning, 6th inning. It just, and he did this last year. Last year he pitched a lot of games, 6 innings max. The guy wouldn't touch more. I'm going to touch in on Stroman. Stroman's always a guy who's going to give you a quality start, but he's never an ace of his staff, in my opinion. I hope he doesn't hate me for saying this publicly. He might ban me on or block me on Twitter or X. He's not an ace. The guy has never shown that he can pitch 8 and 9 innings. I didn't see it a lot as a Met. I don't think I saw one complete game from Stroman as a Met. The guy is a 6 inning max pitcher, maybe 6 1/3. The guy doesn't go deep into games, and this is why the Yankees bullpen has started to struggle the past couple games. Is these guys aren't going deep into the games. The bullpen is getting taxed very quickly. The Yankees bullpen, say Clay Holmes has even looked shaky, but he's been doing the job. It doesn't look amazing. So I just wanted to touch on those two guys. That's kind of what I've been seeing there. And I do have a question for you regarding the El Captain.
You want to go to the question, or?
I'm going to go to the question.
Okay, go to the question.
You brought up the $340 million man. I'm going to bring up your $300 million man, Aaron Judge. I believe he's batting under 200 on the year, or right around
194,
there.
194 going into tonight. Yep.
194 going into tonight. He hasn't looked good. Yes. He's hit a couple home runs. He's going to run into them. But he hasn't looked good at the plate overall. Not striking out a ton. Just not a lot of hard contact. A lot of ground balls. Is there anything you're seeing from Judge? Are you at all worried? I want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, to say I'm not worried would be a little foolish. We're not used to this. I think Jack actually talked about a couple episodes ago. Judge is known for getting off to a hot start. He's known for blowing out the month of April. To me, it's just his swing is a tick off. I haven't sat there and broke down the mechanics, but the guy is in a situation with pretty good hitters around him. And you would think that putting Soto in front of him, that was the whole master plan, would give him more favorable pitches, would give him those pitches to hit. He's simply not doing it. I mean, he has drawn 16 walks, which is good to see. I think that's right up there with Soto and Mookie Betts at the top of the league. But it's just, like you said, he's going to run into those homers. He's just a big dude with a lot of muscles. But there's something about his timing. It's just a lot of not hard hit balls. He's grounded into double plays. I think he's got 4 double plays that he's grounded into. I mean, you're putting Volpe at the top of the lineup, who is batting .368 ever since he's been a leadoff hitter, as opposed to Gleyber Torres batting .200. You put Volpe on the line, and then you have Soto. I mean, if Volpe continues to play, probably not at this high of a level, you can't have that expectation. But if he continues to play at a high level, Soto is going to get on base. Judge has to step up. I mean, has to. So for Yankees fans, yes, we're winning. Yankees are the only team going into tonight with 12 wins on the season. Yes, we're winning games, but at the same time, it's got to become concerning pretty quickly. And I think, what was it? Was it last night, I believe? He had a guy in first and second in the last inning. Volpe did what he needed to do. Soto did what he needed to do. They got on. Yeah, Volpe got on, stole a base. Soto walked. Judge comes up, 2 outs. You just weren't feeling confident in that situation at all, where that's your $300 million captain right there. Years past you were, so gotta keep,
So I got a fun question now. Just popped into my head. At what point is there reason to entertain flipping Judge and Soto? Just because now it might be looking like teams are starting to pitch around Soto to get the Judge, where you may want to then have Judge see more pitches by having Soto hit behind him.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I don't know if teams are pitching around Soto to get to Judge though. I don't know if teams are doing that quite yet. Um, I think Soto always is going to draw walks, but
Mm.
um,
Now,
I
is
don't
there
know.
reason to
It's
think that I saw this on? I heard this on WFAN maybe. Um, Soto is looking for too many walks sometimes. Do you believe that?
well, especially. I mean, no, no. I mean, you get on base, right? That's the old school way of baseball. That's the philosophy I still believe in. You get on base, good things happen. Um, the bigger problem is the guy behind you. What does he do with that in that moment? There's two
Yeah.
outs and you draw a walk. It's not like you didn't do a good job. You know, it's not a slap on the wrist. You get on base for the guy behind you. And Judge just he needs to step up. You can't be batting under 200 with the two guys ahead of you that have been consistently getting on base. I
Yeah.
mean, it's ridiculous to me. Again, is a concern, and right now it's alarming. I'm not overly concerned about it. It's circled on my documents here to go over that he's obviously not playing well. Um, it's definitely something to keep an eye on, though. If he keeps hitting like this, then it's a big concern to Yankees fans because teams are going to start to change their approach, which I wouldn't say that they have,
Okay.
at least that I've
Just
noticed.
speculating. Haven't been tuning into too many Yankee games, so I'm not just kind of
Yeah,
broaching that as from reading just stats.
yeah. You know what else is interesting, V? This generation's Babe Ruth, Oswaldo Cabrera. Guy's on fire. Anytime you watch him, I mean, he is hitting 533 with runners in scoring position. His batting average is 533. Seems like every time this guy in scoring position, he just finds a way to get them in. The guy's got 12 RBIs on the team. That's right behind Soto for the most. I mean, if Oswaldo's hitting like that, put him behind Soto. You know, like
It's a good point.
the
It's a good
the
point.
kid's on fire, and you talked about the Mendoza effect. I call this the Soto effect. You just see guys playing differently. Those young guys, Volpe, Oswaldo, being more patient
Oh
at the
yeah,
plate. I said it
100%.
last episode. There's a segment about Oswaldo where he just loves to watch Soto take batting practice, right? And you see, I mean, it's early. I get that it's April, but you see, it's clearly leading to production with Oswaldo. So,
Yeah.
um, definitely excited for him. Very curious to see what's going to happen when LeMahieu comes back. He is starting his rehab assignment soon.
Ooh.
Curious about the leadoff spot. Curious about the third base position. It's definitely going to shake some things up. But Boone did say he is not at all thinking about moving Volpe from leadoff, and I don't think you can. I don't think you can.
No, you can't. If Volpe's getting on, he's the biggest stolen base runner on that team. To have him run havoc and get on in front of Soto and Judge throughout a full 162 is exactly the guy you need out. Now, I do have some intake here as well. Is there any world where you put a. If Oswaldo keeps doing this for another 2 weeks, then Oswaldo Cabrera move to the two hole and you shift Soto and Judge back? I always say, like, sometimes it's weird. Baseball players are weird. And as a former baseball player, I am one. Sometimes there's a certain spot in the lineup that guys like to hit. You know, maybe Judge doesn't really love the three hole. Judge likes the four hole for whatever reason. He gets to see more pitches in the first inning. I don't know. Is there any world where you can entertain just pushing everyone back? Or is LeMahieu a two hitter because he loves to go oppo? And you, or is Boone just set on what's happening here? Just put everyone down in the order.
Well, I think that's why my phrase about Judge is let's keep an eye on it because it's if he becomes Aaron Judge, then you keep it as is. If he stays as the current Aaron Judge that we're seeing, you have to do something. I mean, you're missing out on runs. I didn't look at Judge's average with runners in scoring position, but it's not going to be great. I mean, his average alone is terrible. So it's going to be interesting to see. LeMahieu coming back is definitely going to stir up the defense, stir up the lineup a little bit. And also, what LeMahieu are you getting? Are you getting LeMahieu of last year? You getting him of a couple years ago? Is he going to be that high average guy? Probably not. So how are you going to justify putting him at the top of the order? Are you taking Oswaldo, who's batting .533 with runners in scoring position, out of the order for LeMahieu? I don't know.
You shouldn't. You shouldn't.
Are you taking a struggling Glaber or Rizzo out of the order for LeMahieu? I don't know. So I'm curious to see. It's one of those things. I was like bummed when LeMahieu got hurt. I'm like, oh, classic Yankees dealing with the injury bug. But now it's like, I'm not excited for LeMahieu to come back. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, maybe LeMahieu could kind of become a Ben Zobrist type of player where he plays almost every day, but maybe he gives Glaber a day off a week, gives Rizzo a day off a week, gives Stanton a DH a day off a week, gives Cabrera a day off a week. That type of deal. Where he plays 4 days out of 6 games a week, but at a different position. That I could see happening. But time will tell. Time will definitely tell.
The defensive versatility is definitely nice with LeMahieu. You do like that because it gives you that the ability to shuffle around the lineup, give guys days off and stuff like that. So you're right. Time will tell. We'll see what how LeMahieu performs when he comes back. All right. Any other comments about the Yanks before we kind of look towards the future?
I got nothing. My guy. I just love that baseball's in full swing now. That's all I gotta say.
It is.
It's so good.
It officially
so good
is.
that baseball on. So good that baseball on like every single day. Our softball season's got underway. We had our opening day on Sunday. Gave a little ass whipping to another team. Very nice to see. It's gonna be fun. I'm in a good mood these days.
Heck yeah. I'm always in a better mood when baseball season's on. The sun is shining. It's springtime. Getting some
beautiful
good weather.
Past couple days. Beautiful weather.
Oh my goodness. We've been blessed. All right, let's look ahead, V. I'm going to have you start with the Mets. We know they're finishing up a series with the Pirates. I also want you to touch on their upcoming series with the Dodgers. So why don't you go ahead and kind of show us or tell us what you're looking forward to.
So, take your bets, ladies and gentlemen, in because the Mets are going out there to place their bets with Shohei Ohtani in Los Angeles. Yeah, no, listen, I'm not excited to go face the Dodgers. This is gonna be a fucking scary series. But they haven't looked great though. I'm not gonna lie. I thought they'd be off to. They haven't fully messed yet, and I'm kind of glad we're facing them now because I think come June or July, they may start clicking all cylinders. It's gonna be very interesting to see. I can't project from now. I wonder if they're gonna face Yamamoto in that series because that'd be kind of fun to get to face him. Hopefully the Mets can smack him around a little bit. But the Dodgers, the Mets got the series against the Pirates. Would love another series win. That's the one thing I'm going to look into. And hopefully a series sweep. Get the brooms out would be nice. But the Dodgers and the Giants, listen, it's a 6 games on the West Coast. I'd just love for them to go 3-3. They can win. If they win one series and lose the other, that's fine. If they go 3-3 on that homestand, I consider that a success. If they go 4-2, it's even better. But I could easily see them losing both these series. The Dodgers are a good team, and the Giants, don't sleep on them. Logan Webb, Blake Snell, Jordan Hicks has looked really good. Conforto, former Met, has looked really good. Their offense isn't bad. And the Dodgers, you already know, Glasnow, Yamamoto, Paxton. They got Evan Phillips in that bullpen. Ohtani, Betts, Freeman combo is absolutely disgusting. So we'll see how it goes. And this is going to be where now can the Mets, good energy, good vibes, go be out a really good team? Let's find out.
Hey, it's going to be some good games over there on the West Coast. I think V, I give you credit. Sometimes you are a rational Mets fan. If you could sign up for 3 out of 3 and say you're taking that, or 3 out of 6 rather, it's shout out to you.
Thank you.
Yankees are finishing up their series in Toronto. I'm excited to see how tonight's game, Rodon's just got my interest peaked this year. It's, you're paying him a lot of money, terrible season last year. I'm always going to tune in. Just, I want to do the eye test on Rodon. I don't care about the stats. I want to do the eye test. And, I care about the stats as well. But also, tomorrow's game is featuring, we're going up against, it's Stroman versus Kevin Gausman, who Gausman has notoriously been a Yankee killer, but got shelled the other start against the Yankees in New York. So I'm curious to see if we'll get a little bit more of that, or if he's going to go back to his Yankee killing days. And then we got the Tampa Bay Rays coming into town. Pretty good team. I think they got a 10-8 record going into tonight. It'll be an interesting matchup. They do not have a great ERA. Their pitchers are struggling a bit. I think they're 28th in the league in team ERA. So I'm hoping some of these struggling Yankees, maybe like Judge, can kind of capitalize on. I don't know if it's their starters or their bullpen, but capitalize on this kind of weak pitching that the Rays have come out with. But yeah, coming back to New York, again, we got to see some guys step up. We got to see Aaron Judge step up. And we also got to test our young pitchers. Clark Schmidt, Luis Gil, going to be featured. Then we got the Athletics right around the corner after the Rays. So good chance to keep this thing rolling here.
Yeah. Could be good. By next episode, we should have some fun, hopefully, talking more Mets and Yankees.
Absolutely, man. Hey, so far, so good. Can't fully complain, right? Like you said, you came in happy. Yankees have 12 wins, more than anyone in the league so far, so we'll take it. Also, next episode, we can have some fun because we can finally go back to Big D's Big Odds if Jack decides to partake in his agreed-upon
he used his sick time.
Hobby.
He used his sick time today, which is fine.
You're paying him sick time?
Ah, shit.
Dude. If I get sick time, I'll be the full-time Yankee insider.
Ooh.
I come with documents.
I'll bring it up with corporate.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to some baseball, and I'm looking forward to our softball, and I'm looking forward to doing this again with you next week. We won't go a whole 2 weeks without doing another podcast episode, right?
That's right.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you know what the drill is. You have to follow us on all social media. X, Instagram, TikTok, at BQB Podcast. V's been doing this really cool thing lately where he's posting all the home runs that the Mets and Yankees are hitting. And who doesn't like to see home runs, V? Who doesn't like to see it?
Everyone loves seeing it.
Yeah, and you're everyone, so you should go see it. You're going to love it. So follow on at BQB Podcast. You can also listen to us wherever you get your podcasts. Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, Amazon, Google, all of the above. Go for it. If you like us, write a love letter to someone, and in the love letter, tell them to follow the Bronx Queens Bows. Until then, we will catch you guys next time. Thanks for listening.